Welcome to another session of Centrists and Progressives for Change. We're really happy to have our next guest. He's a retired U.S. Army major, a former state senator for West Virginia, representing District 7, and he has been one of the people that I think has brought people like me, who are Democrats and used to be independents, into looking at the Democratic Party in a very different way. He pulls no punches. He has made a point of highlighting the lack of investment by the Democratic Party in rural areas. And he often draws a stark line to how we ended up with Joe Manchin in the Senate, blocking our efforts to move forward. He's also a spokesperson for Dem Left Behind, which focuses on supporting Democrats running for office in rural areas. And he hosts a podcast called Airborne, which you should definitely check out. It's wonderful. So without much further ado, please welcome Richard Ojeda.
How you doing?
Hi there.
How you doing?
How you doing?
Staying busy.
I know you're always going a mile a minute, and that's wonderful, actually.
It keeps me out of trouble.
Well, sometimes good trouble.
Good trouble. I'm always about good trouble now.
That's right. I think we need some more good trouble in this party, but we're going to get to that, Major Ojeda. So first thing that we want to talk to you about is probably how I became aware of you, and I'm not going to even lie to you, is that I was a little surprised you voted for Trump. So when you walked that back and you were so honest about that, it really made me inquire more about you as a Democrat, first as an independent, but then as a Democrat, to understand what brought you, first of all, what brought you to the Democratic Party, and what had you voting for, what compelled you to vote for Trump and then pull that back. So being part of the military, quite frankly, I kind of assumed you were a Republican, and that's what happens when you assume. Talk to me a little bit about how you went from being in the military, becoming a Democrat, voting for Trump, and then moving back.
Absolutely. Well, first off, most people in the military are leaning more towards the Republican side. And the reason for that is because in the military, it's all about the beans and the bullets. It's all about who is going to give me the funding that I need to be able to fight and win this nation's wars. So, obviously I joined the military at a young age, never really, paid much attention to politics. I remember when I was a kid, enough about politics that made me say at a young man, I have no desire to deal with these people. I can remember, in church watching a politician show up right before the election and allowed to sit in front of everybody with the pastor, and run around and shake everybody's hands and stuff. And then you never saw him again. So I never really cared for politics. But in the military, it's about the beans and the bullets. And I will tell you that Democrats are the ones that are willing to step up to the plate and slash some of the prices. And, in the military, that's something that if you don't know what's going on, you look at that as a negative thing. I will tell you that I was a paratrooper for 24 years. And, I can remember under President Clinton. I remember under President Clinton, us sitting in the back of a deuce-and-a-half vehicle, driving down the center of a drop zone where normally we would be parachuting out of. But the last quarter of every year, we're basically broke. So you would drive down the center of the drop zone, and every 5 or 10 seconds, a person would jump out the back, another guy jump out. And the whole vehicle would empty everybody out over the course of, maybe 200 or 300 yards. And then you would stand there and you'd wait. And you'd wait for somebody to blow a whistle or make a loud noise that told you, now we're simulating that you have landed on the drop zone, and now you need to go and you need to assemble and move out and conduct your mission. So we never liked that. We were like, this sucks, man. We should be jumping out of a plane, and instead we're jumping out of the back of a truck. So that's what makes a lot of people go, I don't really care too much for the Democrats, because they always seem to be cutting the funds. But the Republicans, they open the spigot and it just pours in. And, honestly, that's how I felt my whole military career until Iraq. And I realized in Iraq, when we got the orders that we were deploying, we had a budget, and we spent the entire annual budget over the course of a couple weeks, buying anything and everything for that combat deployment. And as long as you listed global war on terror in the box,
right,
they basically gave you your entire budget back the next day.
Carte blanche, right.
Yeah, so it was like free money. So most people are like, well, I like the Republicans because the Republicans give us all the money we want. But then, you know, when I was a young captain and I was deploying to combat zones, I started seeing the fraud, waste, and abuse and how bad the system was and how nobody had any accountability and nobody cared. I ordered 146 Toyota Hilux pickup trucks when I was in Afghanistan because I had 8 police stations that were basically, they fell under me, and it was my responsibility to equip them, to help them get trained and prepare them to be able to fight the Taliban. I ordered 146 Toyota Hilux pickup trucks. What showed up was about 40. And I'm like, where's the rest of these vehicles? So I make a phone call and I say, hey, I'm missing over 100 Toyota Hilux pickup trucks, about $40K a pop. And on the other end of the phone, the only thing I was told is just reorder. Just reorder. Not, we need to do an investigation and find where all this money that's taxpayer money went. Right. Just reorder. Not a big deal. It is a big deal. So, you know, I mean, those are the reasons why you lean Republican in the military. When I got out of the military, I come home to West Virginia, and West Virginia had been ran by Democrats for 88 years. And do you want to know why the Democrats lost power? Because they sucked. Because in the beginning, they were focused on taking care of the people, and they fought for unions, and they did everything they could to protect the working class. But the last 20 years of the Democrats in West Virginia, it was nothing but people that got comfortable being lifetime politicians, and they would show up every couple years. They would write 3 checks to the 3 biggest crooks in the county, and they disappeared. And I come home from the military, and I had no desire to ever run for office. But I realized when I got home to Logan County, West Virginia, that I got kids in my own hometown that have it worse than the children that I saw in Iraq and Afghanistan. And that's a fact. Mm-hmm. And I've taken people from all over the world, Japan, Norway, Sweden, Finland. I've had people all over the country, all over the world come here. And I've driven them and showed them some of the places in my hometown. And every one of them, when I was done, looked at me and said, we thought that America was supposed to be the greatest country on earth. We had no idea people live like this. And they do, especially where I come from. So basically, I started challenging people, and that's what I did. I started a nonprofit organization. We sent over 6,000 kids to school with new shoes. I spent 4 years in the classroom as a teacher, teaching JROTC, and we were doing a lot of great things. And I'm realizing that these people around here that are running for office and winning absolutely don't give 2 shits about nobody. So I made the decision to basically start challenging them, and I lost my first race. But they said I wouldn't get 3% of the vote. I got 34% of the vote, and I beat the guy like a drum in my home county. So the next election, I made the decision that I was going to go after the biggest thug in my home county on the state level. And that's where I was 2 days before I won and beat him. I got struck in the back of the head with the pipe, rolled over, and had 8 bones broken in my face with brass knuckles. But I won that seat from the emergency room in the Charleston area medical center. I'm a hard son of a bitch to kill. That's just the way that it is.
Sir. Wow. What do you think turned people around and got them to vote for you, even though they had always voted a Republican? What do you think that it's you do you think it's you? Is it your politics? What do you think it is?
Well, in the beginning, you know, I ran against a person that ran this place with an iron fist. And a lot of people were scared of that person. And I was the first person that stood up and said, I'm not scared of you. You know, I'm retired. You can't fire me. You can't fire my family from the courthouse. I can do what I want when I want. And I started going around, and, you know, it was like, you know, have the meet the candidate events. And I realized real fast that this guy doesn't even know how to talk to people. You know, he's always won because he's always made everybody scared to even challenge him, and he goes unopposed. So I was able to pick him apart easily. It was just that easy. And a lot of people they'd never seen anybody stand up to this guy. And I did another thing that I recommend all people running for office, and Republicans won't do this because they're chicken shits. But the truth is that when you run for office, one of the most amazing things that you can have that can benefit you greatly and make a lot of people go, I need to check this guy out, is do live videos. Every 2 or 3 days, do a live video. And what you do is you look into that camera and you say, you know what? I'm going to give you, the constituent, more opportunities to have access to me than a lobbyist does. Yeah. And you know what? That people go, wow, you know what? That's amazing. This guy, and then you open it up. You got a comment section. You can read what they say, and you can easily say, you can answer those questions right here on the spot. And when people do that, it scares the shit out of Republicans because they won't do it. And every once in a while, a Republican will try to do something like that, but you can clearly tell that he's not answering people's questions that are asking him. He's got pre-written questions that he goes, oh, okay, well, here's the question. And it's one that he gets to knock out of the park, but he doesn't answer any of the other questions. And people are like, how come you don't answer this? How come you don't answer? They ignore it. So that's something that you do. And a lot of people around here were like, wow, this guy absolutely isn't scared to speak up. He's not scared to answer people's questions. Hey, I don't give two shits. I'll go anywhere. I don't care. I'll sleep under a bridge. The way I look at this is it's like a combat deployment. You know, a campaign's like a combat deployment. You know, you hit the ground and you go nonstop until it's time to get on the plane and go back home. So it don't matter. I sleep under bridges. I don't care. You know, if it's time effective, let's do it.
Yeah, so, it sounds like the military prepared you for life in politics, which is ironic, actually. You know, I wanted to talk to you about something that it's a quote from John Pavlovitz, and it kind of made me think about your voters a little bit. He wrote this article, it was an op-ed, I think it was last year, called "Good People Aren't Still Supporting Him." The him is Trump. Okay. Yeah. How do you feel about that statement?
I think there's a lot of truth to that. Good people aren't still supporting him. You know, let me tell you, the big thing about me, you know, I didn't like what Trump was saying when he was running for office. I didn't like his actions and things like that. But, you know, I had come home to West Virginia. And remember, I had spent my entire adult life away in the military. I didn't pay attention to my hometown hardly ever. So I come back here and I'm looking around, and it's no different than what it was when I graduated high school. You have 3 opportunities. You can dig coal, you can sell dope, or you can join the military. I chose the military. But I come back here, and 30 years later, it's still dig coal, sell dope, join the military. So, you know, and I'm looking, and you know what? Donald Trump was talking about coal miners. He was talking about, you know, rural places in West Virginia, you know, and it was like one of those things where I don't like what he's saying, but you know what? He's the only daggone person. And don't think for one second that I wasn't smart enough to realize that they took everything that Hillary Clinton said out of context. But, you know, I never was a fan of Hillary Clinton. I never was. Wasn't a fan of Bill Clinton, you know, and to me, I looked at them and I said, lifetime politician. I'm sick and tired of lifetime politicians. You show me a lifetime politician, I'm going to show you a professional bullshit artist. Them are people that most of them have never had any other job in their life but politics. And that's what the Clintons are. And, you know, I'm looking at this guy and I'm like, I don't like what he says. He says some horrific things. You can tell he's got issues, but he's the only damn person that talks about here, where I'm from. And nobody gives a shit about my people. Nobody gives a shit about Southern West Virginia. I can take you right now to places and show you where the friggin' roads are falling off the sides of the mountain. Instead of 2 lane, 1 lane is already falling off the side of the mountain, and buses travel that shit every day. And nobody gives a shit. So, you know, I'm looking at that and I'm going, you know what? Nobody gives a shit about us. And he's talking about going to help these people. He's going to make their lives a little better. And you know what? Believe it or not, these people are my family. Most of my family are coal miners, you know, and I'm looking, I'm going, you know what, maybe this is an opportunity for them to finally get something in their life. So I held my nose and I voted. And 2 weeks later, I realized, damn, this guy is absolutely a friggin' train wreck. And I started on that day going against him and lighting his ass up every chance, every opportunity that I can. When I ran for Congress, I did everything right. I did everything right. I went to every damn county multiple times. I was willing to speak and answer anybody's question. And I got beat by a woman who refused to campaign, who refused to answer any questions from the media. But all she did was look into a camera and say, I'll do whatever Donald Trump wants. And these people voted for her. And that's when I realized, you know what, these people, I don't know if you can save them. I don't know if you can help them. I really don't. And honestly, I'm getting ready to move to North Carolina because at the end of the day, I'm not going to stay around here and watch this place burn down around me when they continue electing the worst of the worst leaders. And here's the thing. It was my speech in 2018 that lit the match on the teacher strike. You know, I gave a speech, and by the time I got home, I was called to Mingo County because teachers wanted to meet with me. And after that meeting, I said, these guys they're just going on strike tomorrow. And it happened. Do you know that the very next time I ran, I didn't even get the teachers union's endorsements?
Wow.
That's right. Because of Trump. You know, you do anything, you say anything against the friggin' orange one, and these people will turn on you like you ain't never seen. But at the end of the day, once again, this place is going to have to burn to the ground before it rises to the ashes, or from the ashes.
So what happens to the West Virginians that are left there? Are they just they're left to rot then with the Joe Manchins of the world?
Yeah. I mean, sadly, that's the thing, is they don't realize you continue supporting Donald Trump. You continue supporting these candidates that don't even campaign really. They just go, I'm a Trump supporter, and they get everybody's votes. You know, they beat some of the most amazing people out there. Every time we have an election, we've got phenomenal candidates that are out here doing everything right. They got vision, and they get beat because the guy says, I believe in cold guns and Trump. And everybody goes, yay, he's like baby Jesus. And that's how it is. And what do? You know, I mean, we got a guy here where I'm from that is now in the position that I used to be in. And he just voted yesterday against a bill that would help fund, you know, females that are abused, you know. And oh, by the way, it wasn't 5 years ago. He was arrested. He was arrested for kicking the shit out of his ex-wife.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, that's where we're at, you know. But guess what? He won big time. Yeah.
Well, speaking of useless West Virginian politicians, so Joe Manchin, tell me. What do you think? Do you think he's going to leave the Democratic Party? Is he playing a game of chicken? What do you think is?
I don't know if he's going to leave the Democratic Party, because the Democratic Party is Joe Manchin, and I'm going to tell you, the people that are in charge of the Democratic Party in West Virginia, many of them are kin to Joe Manchin. Right. So what are they going to do? Are they going to quit their jobs as leadership of the Democratic Party because Joe Manchin quit? I mean, there's second, third order effects here. You know, I think Joe Manchin is trying to do what he can so that he can get his way. And Joe Manchin is angered right now because Joe Manchin has been exposed. Joe Manchin has now been exposed. Joe Manchin is not up there in Washington, D.C. fighting for opportunities for the poor people of West Virginia. Joe Manchin is up there in back rooms, and he's daggone sitting in meetings with ExxonMobil and all these people, and he's raking in the money. You know, he don't care about these people up here. He don't care. His wife don't care. His family, it's an entire family of horrible, just people that are just absolutely worthless. You know, nobody wants to talk about the fact that we had a college that lost their accreditation. They lost it because of political pressure from Joe Manchin to give his daughter a master's degree she never earned. And it destroyed that college. That's right. That's a fact.
I need to write this down, Major.
Yes, Mountain State University. And I had a daggone guy that worked for me that son was a junior. When a college loses its accreditation, all of the credits from that college are null and void. They're no use. His son was a junior. He had spent 3 years at that college and lost everything. You know, all because Joe Manchin pressured them because my daughter needs a master's degree. And it was probably the master's degree she needed to daggone take over Mylan Pharmaceuticals, where she ended up jacking up the price for the EpiPen. You know, these are horrible people. And oh, by the way, the mother lobbied to make sure that the EpiPen was mandatory, had to be on hand at 13 different states. You know, their son runs a energy corporation that pays the mom and the dad about 1.1 million a year in dividends. That's why Joe Manchin is the way Joe Manchin is. Joe Manchin don't want the money flow to stop. You know, Joe Manchin was the governor of West Virginia. Joe Manchin won the second term, but a month after the second term, he appointed himself in daggone the seat of goodness gracious. You know what I'm talking about. The guy who died. I have issues with names. That's the only issue.
For which one? Which committee?
Who?
Do you remember? So the person that died.
Yeah. That was he was a guy. He was our state senator for many. Bob. Oh goodness gracious. He was a state. He was a state senator for many years. He's the one that he was in a movie he was in the KKK at one time.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Bob Gore. No.
It's okay. We'll Google it later. That's what Google's for.
Yeah. But Joe Manchin appointed himself to his position after he died. So Joe Manchin still has one more governor spot left, and that's what Joe's doing. Joe's trying to make everybody in West Virginia think, I'm fighting the Democrats. I'm with Trump. And he's going to come back here in 2024. He's going to run for governor, and he'll probably win because these people friggin' don't realize he's a complete sack of shit.
So why not run against him?
Because I'm leaving. I'm leaving. You need to understand. You need to understand. I have busted my ass for these people. When I was a state senator, in my first 60-day session, they looked at me and they said, okay, you're new here. You don't do nothing. You sit in your chair and don't do nothing.
What?
These people didn't elect me to come up here and sit down and do nothing. I got West Virginia. I made West Virginia the 29th state to become legal for medical cannabis. That was the most controversial bill in the last 75 years. And I got it passed in my first legislative session. I also got correction officers 2 pay raises. So I got stuff done, because I wasn't going to sit back and do nothing. I went up there and I said, I got to help these people. I'm up here for these folks, and it's a shame that nobody goes up there and does anything for these people. And these people keep voting for these folks. And look, I worked so hard. When I ran for Congress, I did everything right. I was number 1 out of all 435 House races in flipping red votes blue. Number 1. And I still lost to Carol Miller, who just said, I'll do whatever Trump wants.
Yeah.
When you stand in front of the AFL-CIO and you tell them, and I am who I am. I am who I am. And I let them know, look, here's the deal. If I am your representative and I believe in unions, if I'm out on a picket line, I'm willing to throw a rock through a windshield. I don't give a shit. If you come to my hometown to take our jobs, you should get your ass whipped in the process. That's just how I feel. And I've been told, you can't do that. You can't do that, Senator. I didn't care. I believe in fighting for these people. But the problem is that, you bust your ass. I'm in the AFL-CIO meeting, and I speak to them about their endorsement. I walk out, my phone starts buzzing, and people inside the meeting are like, you blew it out of the water. We loved everything that you said. Because when I was a state senator, remember, every time the AFL-CIO and all these other unions needed somebody to stand up and rip somebody a new ass, who do you think they come to? They come to me. Right. Because I didn't care. I'll stand up and light somebody's ass up in a heartbeat. But, I walk out of there and I feel very comfortable with everything that I said. And then I find out that the representative in the AFL-CIO from the UMWA, who is a current senator right now, who I have stood up and defended many times, stood up and told them we'd appreciate it if everybody in here would take no action on this and basically not endorse Richard Ojeda. And the reason why is because Shelley Moore Capito made one vote to vote for the UMWA to get their pensions. Who would have not voted for that? And because of that, they basically decided that they were going to support her. And they turned all these unions into turning their back on me. So, look, I'm done fighting for these people only to get kicked in the tail. I don't need that shit. I have a good life. I do a lot of cool stuff. I like to travel, and I don't need to stay here anymore and fight for people that absolutely are the types of people that say, I know you did all these things, but what did you do today? These are people where I'm from. These people, you could give every one of them a golden egg and they'd go, I really wish you should have given me 2. That's how they are. So I'm not playing them games no more.
So Okay, so you're going to go to your idea is to go to North Carolina. Are you thinking of getting into politics there, or
I'm,
are you
I'm
going to
already in politics. I'm the national spokesman of No Dem Left Behind, and I'm
Yeah,
supporting people right now. I'm
yeah,
going
we're
to
going to talk
support.
about that
Yeah,
actually.
yeah, I'm going to support the guy that's going to go after Madison Cawthorn. You know,
Okay,
I'm supporting I'm supporting Val Demings. I'm supporting Tim Ryan. We're supporting people. Marcus Flowers. We're supporting those folks.
so
So I don't
tell
need to
us
get
a
into
little bit about what No Dem Left Behind is for people that may not be
politics.
familiar with how it started, because it really started with rural Democrats, right? Yeah.
Well, the thing, the No Dem Left Behind is, here's a problem with the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party don't know how to win. Democratic Party don't know how to fight. The Democratic Party is fine with donating money to people that are in blue districts where they know they're going to win. But the thing is if you don't invest in the rural countries, the red rural districts, you're never going to flip those seats from red to blue. So all you're ever going to get is 50-50 with Kamala Harris being the tie-breaking vote. We don't need that. We need to flip these red seats. The Democratic Party dumped $250 million into Amy McGrath and Jamie Harrison, and both of them lost. You know, if they would have took that $250 million and spread it throughout 50 states, we could have flipped red seats blue. And instead of being 50-50, we'd probably be about 65-35, you know, and that's in the Senate. We could have picked up more seats in the House too. The Democrats ignore red rural districts. And No Dem Left Behind goes into those areas, and we find phenomenal candidates. And you know what? We wasn't successful last year, but we broke records last year. You know, we found people. It's not easy to win in a red district. I ran in an R+54, and at one time I was beating Carol Miller. That was amazing. But you know what? We've got phenomenal candidates all over. We had Lindsey Simmons in Missouri. Lindsey Simmons' husband was a helicopter pilot that was deployed with a daggone a bounty on his head, you know, during that time. And she's a Harvard grad, and she's brilliant, and everything that she said was amazing. Now, she ran in a very, very red district, and she didn't win, but she come very close. We're talking about people that got 37 to 42% of the vote. You know,
so you're chipping away, which is what we need to do. We need to chip away at that Republican.
And when you got a good person that does that in their first time they ever run, they get 35% of the vote. You know what you want to do? You want to get them to run again, because now they're known and people know their policies, and maybe they can start turning people around. And that's what you do. But you know what? It's not easy to do when you don't have the financial capabilities. And the Democratic Party doesn't want to support No Dem Left Behind. But make no mistake about it. If we flip these seats from red to blue, the Democratic Party are going to be the first ones at their offices going, come on, we need you to come over here. Oh, by the way, we need you to come to the DCCC so you can go to the second floor and you can call 5 days a week and try to raise money for the party. You know, they don't want to help you, but if you win, they want you to come and help them.
Yeah, so I talked to a lot of candidates actually when I was doing
and Robert Byrd.
Robert Byrd. Oh, it was Robert Byrd. Yeah, I just saw that in the comments, and we have additional questions for you, but we'll get to those. Part of this conversation series before I was doing it for Turn Florida Blue, and we talked to a lot of candidates that told us that they did not feel that they had the support of the Democratic Party. What was you're saying that your experience with the Democratic Party when you were running was you felt abandoned, and that's kind of why you started or why you became a spokesperson for No Dem Left Behind, or do you feel that there's a way to work with the Democratic Party so that you guys can work together and push through these candidates?
The Democratic Party ignores you. That's the problem. When I ran for Congress, first off, I won my primary, and I won my primary with more votes combined than either side. So it was looking really good. And the DCCC still did not even communicate with me until I was about, it was around maybe 60 days out from the general election. And believe it or not, Joe Manchin was the one that contacted the Democratic Party and said, hey, you guys really do need to support this guy because he's out here and he's doing everything right. And finally, they said, okay, we're going to put him on the red to blue list. Let me tell you something. I was then all of a sudden on that list where I was being invited to places all over the country. and I would fly out to San Francisco. And I would be out there with about 25 other candidates. And we would have so much time to speak to these people. And in the end, I would walk away with more donations than any of the other people there, because people like what I said. They like how I was. I speak the truth. I believe in unions. I believe in the working class. And people need to understand, when you don't like West Virginia, you don't like the people of West Virginia because you believe that coal is a resource that we need to get rid of. But what you don't understand is that that's all we have. If we had somebody worth a shit that would go to Washington, D.C. and bring us capabilities to West Virginia, and we could convince these coal miners that green energy jobs pay more than coal jobs. And oh, by the way, you don't have to go underground and risk your life, and you don't have to be 43 years old walking around with a friggin' oxygen tank. But we don't have anybody that does that. And when I speak to these people about you can hate the coal, but you don't hate the coal miner, because that person is doing the only job that we have around here that pays more than Walmart. So you got to understand that. I had people in California come up to me and say, you know what? You're the first person ever that has made me feel like I want to root for coal, because, and it wasn't that, that we don't need to transition, but it let them people realize that you can't hate people that are basically taking the only jobs that are available. And that's what it is. You don't have to have a high school diploma to be a coal miner. And a coal miner can make 6 figures. So that's another reason why they fight every opportunity, because the coal operators and these organizations like Friends of Coal, that ain't no friend of coal miner. But what they do is they tell these coal miners, if they bring wind and solar in here, it's going to take your job away. So then these people refuse to vote for anybody that has any vision of any other capability other than coal. And these jackasses continue winning office by walking in front of these people and saying, I only care about 3 things: God, coal, and guns. And the people go, oh.
Yes, I've actually heard that. But let me ask you something. How do you feel about the Build Back Better Act and what President Biden is trying to push forward? How is that going to help West Virginia?
It's going to help us. It's going to help everything. I mean, remember, let's look at broadband. People don't even realize, do you know in West Virginia, in most places, especially Southern West Virginia, the teachers don't give homework anymore? They don't give homework because the moment that these kids go up in the hollers, they have no connectivity. Right. Most of them are poor. They don't own computers. And anybody that does get any homework, they have to go sit in the parking lot at McDonald's to do their homework, because that's the only place they can get a signal. That's it. We need broadband. We don't have it. A lot of places out there don't realize, you come to a place where I'm from, we're 30 years behind everybody. And in major cities, we're 50 years behind them. We need broadband. We need infrastructure. West Virginia is 50th out of 50. We passed a bill when I was a state senator, and I fought it because I didn't like it, because it was our garbage governor's sack of shit. But he pushed a bill that said, hey, we're going to take $1.6 billion. It's going to be put on the shoulders of the taxpayers, but we're going to fix our roads. And all these people around here voted for that because they said it's going to create jobs and all this shit. And oh, by the way, 75% of the jobs have to be from West Virginians. Guess what? That $1.6 billion disappeared. And every time I drive around and I see people working on the road, the license plates say Kentucky, Ohio. Where's the West Virginia workers at? That money is gone. And we're 50th out of 50, and our roads have not been fixed. That's where we're at. So, we're last. And then everything about that bill, everything. I mean, West Virginia is not we have a beautiful state. A beautiful state.
You do.
But you can fly over West Virginia and you look and you see patches that look like the backside of the moon, because these coal companies, they're entitled to be able to chop the tops of our mountains off and then file bankruptcy before they have to put anything back, which is what they're supposed to do. And by filing bankruptcy, we allow them to get away with it. And then it's what it is. We need this bill. Joe Manchin knows that we need this bill. But Joe Manchin doesn't want anything to stop his coal money that he gets. He doesn't want for Joe Manchin, he's completely fine with these people poisoning our water, poisoning our air, taking all of our youth and sending them down into the mines, where by the time they're 45 years old, they're like 65 years old. But Joe Manchin doesn't care, because it's about money to Joe Manchin. You know, look, if Joe Manchin's going to switch to the Republican Party, go switch. I don't give a shit. You know, that's your legacy. That's your legacy. If you want to be remembered for being a traitor, take your raggedy ass onto the Republican side. I don't give a shit. You know what? If we got an opportunity here to do some great things, but you know what? If you want to go back to that damn side and you want to let the Republicans take over again and make it even worse, that's okay. That's okay. I'll survive. I'll survive. And maybe one of these days, these people will get their heads out of their asses and they'll realize that these people don't give two shits about them. And then maybe we can take it all back and do something. I'm so sick and tired of the Democrats being in the majority and don't get shit done. Because you know what? The friggin' Democrats show up in a fist fight wearing a friggin' daggone pillowcase. And the friggin' daggone Republicans show up with brass knuckles. You know, I said it on the friggin' Morning Joe. It's time to knuckle up.
I agree. Yeah. And I actually saw you on Bill Maher too, which you were great. And my husband, who's actually a Republican, by the way, was like very excited to hear you speak that way.
Well, you know, a lot of people are like, you should have talked more. First off, you know, the woman that I was on there with, I thought was brilliant. And I wasn't on there to try to argue with anybody. I just wanted to get my points across. And oh, by the way, I would have loved to have spoke about other things. But everybody has to understand when you're on the Bill Maher show, Bill Maher has cards, and those are the topics of conversation. Yeah. You don't get to change the things.
Yeah, no, but you made very salient points, very good points. And, you know, you had 4 Democrats, a Republican, and an independent person in my household watching you. And we were all really excited to see you there and very happy about what you were saying. Thank you. Major Ojeda, we have some member questions, and we're already into 36 minutes into our conversation. So I wanted to take some. We actually have some additional questions apparently that came in the comments. So here is the question that we got the most. We got at least this same question in different variations of this question. We got this about five to six different variations of this question. What are the chances that he flips and becomes a Republican if he's primaried? But also, if he flips and becomes a Republican, doesn't that hand the Senate to Mitch?
Yeah. If he flips, that basically they have the power. But, you know, I don't think Joe Manchin's going to do that. I think that at the end of the day, he's smart enough to know that if he does that, he is going to be dirt in the eyes of everybody. And, oh, by the way, if you want to be, you know, hailed by the far right, you go ahead. But that's not exactly the place you want to be. You know, Joe Manchin, sadly, West Virginia, you know, they're going to continue supporting this jackaloon. I hate to say it. You know, if he switches to the Republican Party, he's probably going to get screwed over, because if he does that, he's going to come back here to West Virginia, and he's probably going to get, you know, primaried by our Attorney General, who's a complete oxygen thief, by the way. But you know, that could basically mean that he's going to have a primary, and he'll definitely, a primary election, and then he'll have a general.
Right.
I will tell you, Joe Manchin. People don't realize Joe Manchin ran for governor against Charlotte Pritt. And Charlotte Pritt beat him. And instead of doing the right thing that the Democrats should do, which is support the person that won, Joe Manchin started Democrats for the Republican. Joe Manchin is a sore loser, and that right there tells you all you need to know about Joe Manchin. So right now, Joe Manchin's about Joe Manchin. Joe Manchin's about making money for himself. You know, the mere fact he can sit on the back of his $750,000 yacht and talk to people on kayaks that are begging him to do right, because West Virginia lives in the valleys. We live in the valleys. And they've chopped off the tops of our mountains. And what that means is we don't have the capability to absorb a lot of the water that comes into this area. So what that means is now the valleys are going to get flooded a lot more often. And it's going to destroy people's homes. Many places in West Virginia, you can't even get insurance on your home anymore.
Wow.
In 2012, Mud Fork was literally washed away. And right now you can't get insurance in Mud Fork. You got a bunch of people that live there. The next time a flood goes through, they're screwed. They're going to lose everything, you know? And Joe Manchin don't care about that, because Joe Manchin cares about himself. And that's what he's doing. He's a selfish person. And, you know, I don't give two shits about him. I don't care about him, his wife, his son, his daughter. They're all a bunch of asshats to me. So I don't care.
Well, you've made your point, that's for sure. So this is another question that we had, Major Ojeda, various ways to ask the same question. So as poor as West Virginia is, why do voters not understand that programs like Medicare for All and universal basic income would benefit them the most? What is it that they don't, what do they not connect about that?
This is why education is so important. It's absolutely crucial. People around here don't have critical thinking skills. I don't care. I spent 4 years in the classroom, and I'm going to tell you right now, these teachers teach the exam. They don't teach these kids anything other than we've got to pass an exam every year because it makes the teachers and the boards of education look good. And that's the only thing they care about. And these people don't have critical thinking skills. And these people also are very, very easily tricked, duped into believing, whatever is pushed their way. And, all you have to do is say, they're coming for your guns. And automatically these people go, you can't vote Democrat because they're coming after your guns. And the Democrats are the ones that are trying to bring these capabilities to these people. These people are poor, and they don't even realize that all they have to do is educate themselves just a little bit and realize that these programs that the Democrats are trying to push for you are going to elevate you out of poverty. Understand that Joe Biden has basically given every single parent that has a child under the age of 18 $250 to $300 a month. And that has elevated over 40% of the children in this country out of poverty. Now, because of Joe Manchin's worthless ass, they've decided that's only going to be for this year. What's going to happen next year? Kids are in poverty. They're going to go back to extreme poverty the way they are. How do you not push that? But you got to educate these people. And that's what we're doing. We're trying to let these people know, did you enjoy getting that money? Is that money helping you and your family? Because understand the people on the far right don't want you to get it. They don't want you to get it. And until you wake up and realize that these people are hurting you, don't listen to, but they're fighting, they're pro-life. They don't give a shit they care about the fetus. They will cut the programs to feed the child, to clothe the child, to educate the child every time. But stop falling for the bullshit. That's the biggest problem we have here. Nobody is, and I hate to say it, it seems like nobody is smart enough to be able to see through the bullshit and realize that they're using you. They're using you. They're telling you a bunch of garbage and you're falling for it. And you're 100% now, you're Trump. That's all you hear. I mean, I can drive you to places where I'm from where the nicest thing on the entire house is the Trump flag. And in some places, it looks like the Trump flag's holding the house up from falling over. Sad.
That's really, wow. That's really a testament to the condition that Joe Manchin has left that state in, to be honest with you, because he was governor.
Yeah, you're right. But here's the thing. Think of universal basic income. When you look at people and you say, look, if you were 18 years and older, you can get $1,000 a month. If you and your wife, that's $24,000 a year that you can use for all kinds of stuff. And oh, by the way, it's going to boom the economy because poor people don't take their money and shove it in offshore accounts. They spend it locally. So restaurants and small business will boom. You tell these people that would benefit them. But you know what? That's communism. Really? That's socialism. Socialism. You ever heard of democratic socialism? Using our tax dollars to help to do things that benefit everybody, like our roads, like our schools, like your vaccination shots, like our military, like the firemen, the police officers, and everything else. Yeah, that's democratic socialism. Learn something.
Can you talk to us a little bit about the importance of vote blue moderates versus right independents? And I think that the question is actually written incorrectly. But let me update that right now. Can you talk to us about the importance of vote blue moderates versus right independents, and basically how do they impact the party? How do vote blue moderates impact progressive candidates making it through versus right independents?
At the end of the day, we need to get if we could get the far right and the far left to come to the middle, I believe that we could actually save this country. I really believe that. The key thing is you have to listen to these folks. And then you have to make a decision: does what they want make sense? And look, I'm sitting here. I'm a liberal. I never thought about that in my life. I'm a liberal. I don't think that people should die because they don't have much money. I like other countries that basically say you pay taxes, you get these things. In the United States of America, we pay taxes, but you still got to pay when you go to the doctor. In other countries, you pay taxes, your doctor visit is free, your medicine is free because you pay taxes. These are things that people want to act as if that's too far to the left. It's not. 33 countries out there have universal, or 32 of 33 of the most wealthiest countries on the face of the earth have universal health care. The United States of America is the only country that can't get it done, yet we're the richest. I mean, look, all I know is that when I look at people that are considered far, far left, I look at their arguments, and I think to myself, they're standing up and they're fighting. They're putting their foot down because they're saying that you people have to start meeting us in the middle. We are having serious issues concerning climate change that is affecting everybody in the world. Scientists are telling us that, look, we're about to pass a point of no return, where once we pass that point of no return, all we're going to do is sit and watch the earth die around us. And it may not completely end in your lifetime, but your great grandkids, it will. So it's not, to me, all they're trying to do is say, we've got to do something. We've got to. And it's up to the people in the middle to realize that we've got to meet some of these people. And even on the far right, we've got to listen to their argument. And we've got to look at that and go, okay, well, what is something that could benefit America on their argument? Because the far right thinks that the far left are out of their minds, and the same thing goes vice versa. Right. But at the end of the day, if everybody could try to at least have that conversation that could bring people more to the middle, even if it's making, okay, look, we're gonna try some stuff with the climate change, but we need you to support us on this. That's how it works. That's politics. But I'm telling you right now, I mean, as a person that's a Democrat and a liberal, I don't really see the things that the far right are asking for that's really that bad. I don't. I just like I said, West Virginia is the worst state in the United States of America concerning flooding right now. Scientists have said that West Virginia is about to get a rude awakening because of climate change. And instead of doing something, Joe Manchin only cares about the money that he's getting from dividends from coal companies. Joe Manchin wants to try to act like over 11,000 jobs he's going to put his foot down. Joe Manchin don't give a shit about coal miners. There was a lot. You know what? What about teachers? What about teachers? You got 11,000 coal miners, but you got 28,000 teachers. You don't give two shits about those teachers. You don't want to elevate their lives none. But you want to act like you care about the coal miner. He doesn't care about the coal miner. He cares about the coal money. That's it.
Yeah, I think he feels that the secured vote is the coal miner, not the teacher.
Well, yeah, but you can easily get that. You could secure the teacher's vote too. Fight for the teachers.
Yeah. No, definitely agree with you there. It's clearly a calculated risk on his part. When people talk about vote blue moderates, Major Ojeda, how important do you think vote blue moderates were to Joe Biden winning this election?
I think it was critical.
Yeah,
I think so. I think
without the vote blue, like I have that situation in my state right now with Governor DeSantis, he's effing insane.
Yeah, Governor DeSantis needs held underwater until the bubbles stop. That guy's absolute garbage. He's pure trash.
That sounds like waterboarding, but he every day he finds a new way to hurt Floridians. You know?
Him and Abbott are fighting for Donald Trump's love. I think they're thinking that they're going to get his VP spot. But you know what though? If you look at 81 million people voted for Joe Biden. Republicans, look at the Lincoln Project. Republican groups have stood up and said, look, we're done with this, man. This guy is a train wreck. Donald Trump is a stomach virus with no toilet paper. That's exactly what it is. but 81 million people said we can't deal with this guy anymore, and it wasn't just blue moderates. It was the Republicans that helped. Like the Lincoln Project spent lots of money and there was a lot of Republicans that they didn't come out and say, but they did. They voted against him.
Yeah, the Accountability Project too. There are quite a few groups, Major Ojeda, that are clearly Republican, former Republicans who just said, that's it. We're done with Trump, and it was great to see that. The reason go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm not even worried if Donald Trump wants to run in 2024. I hope he does, because he'll get beat even worse. He'll get beat even worse. Every day people are waking up. 750,000 people have lost their lives due to a global pandemic that he refused to acknowledge, which is why so many people have died. And you can scream all you want. Kayleigh McEnany saying they need to announce the death records every day because she wants to throw stones at Joe Biden. Joe Biden built the infrastructure that has vaccinated over half of this country. He was given nothing from Donald Trump. So yeah, people are going to continue dying because some people just are too freaking stupid to get the vaccine. But a lot of it comes from the fact that it took Joe Biden time to build the infrastructure and get people vaccinated. But that's where it is. These are, and I hate to say it, so-and-so died from COVID. How'd they lean? How were they leaning? Because the majority of Democrats in this country are sticking their arms out and getting the shot. So how did they lean? 60,000 people, over 60,000 people have died from Florida. 60,000 60,000 votes could change an election.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I don't think they realize that their strategy might backfire on them because they may not have enough voters to carry them over the line.
But that's what I'm saying. People are waking up all over the country. And that's one of the reasons why it's important for us at No Dem Left Behind to go into these red rural districts and find these candidates that can beat these horrific people. I can't look at, if everybody knows that Ted Cruz ran off to Cancun when 700 plus Texans froze to death. How can you look at Ted Cruz and think that these people are going to vote for him again? I believe, hopefully, and I'm right, that at least people in Texas are going, that was a douche move on Ted Cruz. And oh, by the way, then he blamed it on his kids. So surely you can't see leadership in Ted Cruz. Now, Ted Cruz is a typical politician that tries to act like he's one of them. You notice where Ted Cruz is a smart man. He's a Harvard grad. He just uses his intelligence for evil. But the thing about it is Ted Cruz used to be a three-piece suit man with his hair all combed up and all that shit. But now he looks like he crawled out of the Cabela's catalog. You know why? Because he's trying to look like he's one of them good old country boys from Texas. He's not. He's not.
Yeah, I don't expect much from Cruz as far as not laying the fault on his family. I mean, Trump went after his wife and he still supported him.
And his dad. And his dad. So how can let me tell you something. I served in the military with quite a few people from Texas, and they will fight you where they stand. A Texan is as proud as you can get. And surely Texans can't be looking at Ted Cruz going, that's my guy. Surely people in Texas got to be going, that dude is a shit brick, man. We got to get rid of this guy. So I hope there's people out there willing to primary this guy.
Yeah, I have to be honest. I think Texas will flip before Florida. And one of the reasons I say that, Major Ojeda, is because again, the vote blue, this vote blue moderate thing issue. Unfortunately, even with the governor's race here, I hear way too many people in Florida talking about, if the candidate is Christ, I'm not going to vote. If the candidate is Freed, I'm not going to vote. Now Tadeo's in the race here in Florida. But the danger is not one of the Dems. I mean, I'll take a lightweight Republican, Christ, or whatever you want to call him, or Freed, over DeSantis any day of the week.
Any day. And what's really sad is that, Florida has a very large population of people from Puerto Rico, a lot of Latino Americans there, people from Cuba. And do you guys not realize that the Republican Party don't want none of you? None of you. The Republican Party would put you on a boat and push you back out.
You know,
you got to convince these people. They got to open their damn eyes and realize that these people don't give a shit about you. Donald Trump and them did not want anybody that was light brown to dark brown coming into this country. They didn't give a shit about people coming in from the north. It was all about the people that were light brown to dark brown. Wake up.
He called the shithole countries.
yeah. He called their countries shithole countries. And the thing about it is that they're supporting him. You know, I don't understand. And look, I got friends. I got a lot of friends. I travel about once every 2 years down to Tampa, Florida. I got a buddy of mine that I've served in the military, jumped out of planes with. And me and him and a couple other buddies get down there and we go hang out. And I'll tell you, you know, I was down there this last spring. And, you know, I was one of the only people running around with a mask on. People looked at me like I had a damn foot growing out of my forehead. And even to my buddy, you know, I'm talking to my buddy and we had to agree no politics, because if we talked politics, then even though I love them all like brothers, I'm going to give them a piece of my mind. Sure. So, but that's the thing. They're like, you don't need that mask here. We're DeSantis people. We don't need masks. You're dying. You're freaking dying. You know, if you get COVID, you're going to die. Yeah.
He can put that on his headstone, you know, because a lot of them that are dying are unfortunately, and I mean, it's not a laughing matter, actually, it's very sad. A lot of these people, when they're on their deathbed, that's when they're, you know, they're regretting this decision.
Yeah, I don't give a shit. I don't want to see that. I don't want to see you with the tube going, get vaccinated, because you were an asshole until you got COVID. You know, I don't want to hear it. If you're not smart enough to listen to the scientists, if you're going to believe your good old buddy Carl because he's got a laptop computer and you want to listen to what he has to say, you know, I don't give two shits about you. I don't care. You know, I'm sick and tired of the fact that we got people dying. 751,100 people as of my live last night. So right now it's probably about 753 to 754,000 people that have lost their lives. Wake up. You know, get vaccinated, wear your friggin' mask, stop being an asshole. But they won't.
That needs to be on a bumper sticker, by the way. Wear your mask, stop being an asshole. Yeah. I love that. Thank you so much for being so authentic, genuine. I love it. And please come back, because I love getting your authentic take on everything. You actually have an opinion on everything, and I agree with you wholeheartedly. But you also look at things. You really made me think today about that West Virginia voter, particularly that coal is their only livelihood, why they defend it. I'm looking at it from the climate change point of view, living in South Florida, in Miami, that will probably be underwater. And I was not thinking about it the way that you presented it. So thank you for that. I've included on the bottom, if people want to support No Dem Left Behind, please visit secure.actblue.com to donate. No Dem Left Behind Pack 1. And definitely listen to Airborne, Major Ojeda's podcast. It's fantastic. Every day you're going to get this version of him, which is very authentic. And I think everyone is going to get something out of it. So thank you so much, Major Ojeda.
Well, thank you very much. I go live every night. I got my Facebook, Richard Ojeda. It's got the blue check mark. You can like the page every night at 8:00. You're going to see me on there, and I say what I say. And if people don't like it, tough shit.
Another bumper sticker. I like it. All right. You have a wonderful day. Thank you so much. Thanks, everyone, for joining us.
Thank you.